Hey, what's up everybody, it's BDF44. So I want to start this video off by saying rest in peace to George Floyd, aka Twin. Obviously everyone knows what's going on with that situation. Murdered by way of a skinny white knee on his neck. Police arrested him for allegedly forging a bad check, which from what I understand may not have been true. That news still isn't as clear up until this point. Police also said that he was resisting arrest. Well, about an hour ago, footage came out that showed a different angle and a little bit of prior footage to when he actually was put into that horrible physical position, laying down with a knee in his neck. It showed them arresting him, not pulling him, but like casually taking him out of wherever he was initially at, out of the store or whatever, and then sitting him down with it. He was cuffed already. By the time this was going on, he was already cuffed. So whatever they decided to do after that, clearly the cuffs were still on him. But he didn't appear to be resisting arrest at all. This was cold-blooded murder, and pretty traumatizing to watch, to be completely honest. I've seen quite a few death videos in my life, and unfortunately I've been to my share of funerals and everything, but this one was especially unique to suffer through because of the camera angle that you're able to see, and the entire time you're watching him facing you, and it's just you watching this cop just sit with his knee on his neck. And in watching it, it seemed to me the man was enjoying it. The cop that was, kneeling on him. Obviously, there were more than one cop there. There's about 3 or 4 other cops sitting on him. But you can't see that from the camera angle, obviously. I'd imagine most people who are watching this video have seen the footage, but watching that was just so tough, man. I saw it yesterday morning, which was a Saturday, the 26th of May, 2020, anybody wondering. 6 a.m. first thing I do, get up in the morning and I see somebody had posted this footage, and I watched the whole thing, 10 minutes long. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, they're really gonna kill this dude. Like, he's really gonna continue to sit on this man's neck despite all of these incredibly horrible sounds coming out of this man, thriving in pain and just completely suffering. They just sat there. He just continued to sit there. He looked down at him, and it seemed to me, as the crowd, the people around, were telling him to stop and calling him names, it seemed to me that he grinded his knee into George Floyd's neck even more so. It was like, oh, y'all want to talk ish? Here, check this out. And he kind of looked down, trying to see what he was doing, trying to make sure that his knee was nestled just right. And then he kind of seemed like he was getting more aggressive with his kneel to me. In studying the video, the first thing that came to mind was Colin Kaepernick and how much rage came from the kneeling and what the symbolic understanding meant. And this felt like, in watching it, like a message sent. I've been watching movies, studying people's behavior all my life, just paying attention to certain things. And I always try to see similarities in either how people behave or similarity in how people communicate without words. Just in various different things, I always try to look for similarities. And the one thing that always stands out is when people are sending messages. or when entities are trying to convey something in plain sight. This felt like one of those displays. Like, yes, you have a cop killing a man with his knee in his neck, but you also have the symbolic understanding and a year-long argument about kneeling and protesting police brutality. This situation seemed to me as if they were saying, okay, we want you to know you're going to kneel. Yeah, we're going to kneel too. It seemed to me that not only did they murder George Floyd, but they murdered George Floyd and they wanted us to see it. This didn't feel like an accident in terms of just rogue cops losing their minds and just completely taking something too far. This doesn't feel like a situation where you have a crazy cop who didn't want to show any signs of humanity. This feels like white supremacy sending a message to all of the rest of America that they don't care that they see you. They don't care that you see them, rather. They're going to continue to do this, and that there's nothing you can do about it. And you can have all the evidence you want. You can feel however you feel about it. But this is what we're doing, and we're coming for you. And that's how I took it. It's exactly how I read that situation. I looked straight past the individual cops. I looked straight past the scenario of what's going on, and I said, this is staged to send a message to all of us. Now, I'm not saying this was staged as in this actually didn't happen or this person wasn't murdered. No, this definitely took place. It definitely was real. George Floyd definitely was a man who did not deserve to die. But do I think his death was just a product of a certain situation taking place in Minneapolis? I do not. I believe somebody thought this shit up and executed a plan that would demonstrate such a message for us to see. And for those who need to understand it, the message, they understand it. And for the rest of the people who's seeing this, it's just another injustice. It's just another terrible, terrible injustice. But the way this whole thing looks, it looks deliberate. It looks choreographed. It looks plotted. And it looks like a message sent. And it has something to do with that Colin Kaepernick energy. I'm 100% certain. And when you start thinking about how people do certain things, billionaires, and how much sway they have over certain things and what symbols mean in secret societies and all that extra stuff, when you start thinking about that, symbols. You see the symbol of Colin kneeling. You see the symbol of this officer's kneeling on this gentleman's neck. Dig. You're going to find something. That's all I got to say. If you just dig around, you'll find something. But nevertheless, this is awful. And I always ask, to what end? You know, where is this leading? Where is this leading? And to me, the answer is civil war, honestly. I mean, I don't want to sound hopeless. I believe that there are some wonderful individuals out here of all different color creeds and ideas and backgrounds and ways of life who would love to be at peace, who don't want to fight, who don't want to be caught up in the middle of a fight. But there doesn't appear to be any other solution from where I'm sitting. We are at war with white supremacy. They have been collecting guns forever. We know it. They want to fight. And these little symbols are them letting us know what it is that they want. They ultimately want to push us back either off of their land or back into some version of slavery. They felt wronged by the fact that we got away in the first fucking place, and they want us back in our place. For this, I have no doubt. I think that the real fight, though, comes from those who are around us and around them, who are not black. They're going to be the ones that ultimately save us from this civil war that I'm predicting will take place. Y'all got to start using your influence and your privilege to charge individuals who are trying to create that energy and trying to wage this war against African Americans. You have to weed through these people, and you have to create legislation. You have to break white supremacy down. That's really what it comes down to. You have to, because if you allow these individuals to continue to make noise and continue to poke at us, eventually, it may not be next week, it may not be next year, but eventually this is going to turn into bloodshed. This is not something that we can escape, and it's not something that it seems to be going anywhere other than that. There are a lot of people who don't want to fight, including myself. I'd much rather not. And there are a lot of people from both sides who love one another, and there's plenty of love out there, but there are enough of. And when I mean enough, I mean enough on both sides to where these people are going to have to work their differences out one way or another. The kind ones of us, the kind people, we can't get in the way of those angry people on both sides. We have to work our stuff out. We have to work it out. And when it's time to fight, we're gonna have to figure it out. It's not gonna be a situation where we can sit back and say, well, this isn't taking place like we're doing with the coronavirus. Let's just go outside and be cool. No. This has been a battle that's been 400 years in the making. And there seems to be no shortage of frustration. So when you see people protesting and you see people doing all this nonviolent protesting and all of that, just understand that eventually, if you don't respect that, it will turn violent. It will no longer be peaceful. People aren't going to just roll over and let themselves be disrespected and murdered and treated poorly. Too much pride. Our people have too much pride to allow that to happen going forward. So that's all I gotta say, man. My name is BDF44. I'm not happy that I believe these things. I'm not happy that I think our kids and our grandkids are gonna be fighting with one another over something as ridiculous as racism. But we have done a horrible job of creating an environment where that's not going to take place. Horrible job. This just is what it is. We had many opportunities. Many opportunities to eradicate racism, to stop it at its root, to stop preaching hatred to our children, to stop allowing people who believe in hateful mindsets. Stop allowing those people to have prominent roles in our society. Stop allowing those who are in positions to preach hate to continue to do so to children. These things should be illegal. And we've turned a blind eye to it far too long because these individuals have been white. Let's call it what it is. KKK has been running amok, doing what should have been illegal, but was probably never written into legislation because those individuals were white. And now we're in a place where those people are going to have to face the wrath of individuals who are sick and tired of this nonsense. It is what it is. And I'm sure they're ready and willing because they're about that life too. They want to fight too. It's sad. It's really sad to see what this country is headed to. It's really sad to think that we have problems that our great grandparents had. Same issues. We're still having these issues. Racism is destroying our world. Not just this country, but many countries all worldwide. We have got to stop looking at human beings as if they're subhuman beings because they're not our kind of human beings. Or thinking that we are above people because we have something that they don't have over there. As if they can't inherit what we have. As if the world ain't going to continue spinning long after our lives. We got to do better. And we got to stop turning a blind eye to individuals who are continuing to raise their children in hatred. I can't stress it enough. With every passing generation, it gets worse and worse and worse. That stuff gets further and further embedded in your DNA, and you just can't even see what's in front of you after a while. All you know is the hatred. You don't even know why you're hating. You don't know why you won't allow yourself to think. Just think for yourself. Assessing things as they should be. Assessing people as you should. Just going forward, just believe in bullcrap. All of them are this, so therefore we must hate them. It makes the world a worse place with people like y'all. Like a cancer of the earth. Just make things worse. You decay everything you touch with your hatred. Suffering follows you. It is what it is, man. Rest in peace to anybody who's lost their lives in the name of racism or brutality, police murdering, any type of just ridiculousness between races. At some point in time, we need to get our minds together, and at some point in time, we need to hold those accountable for all the things that they've done. Whether they're on high, putting police in positions to have these little cliques of racist individuals infesting each and every city in America. They need to weed out these dudes and get them out of anywhere they may find them. Not just in the police force, but anywhere they may find them. We need to weed those individuals out. Otherwise, this infestation will continue to rot away at our country until there's nothing left. They say you live by the gun, you die by the gun. I think the gun in this case is racism. I really do. And systematic oppression. Until we find a way to stop living by those two things, we're headed straight for our doom because of those two things. Keep thinking it's a game. Keep thinking it's a game. We are all going to lose because of this. It's time to stop. Racism is it's a fallacy. My skin, it doesn't represent anything other than just that. My culture, my body, it's temporary. We're all gonna die the same. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. Most of us are mixed with so much anyway, and if we're not mixed now, our kids will be. Because this world's gonna keep spinning, people are gonna keep on doing what they're doing, and that's it. You can't fear your race dying out. You can't fear that. Fearing that is pointless. People are going to continue to have children and we'll continue to know one another. You can't believe in a pure race anymore. It's not realistic. You gotta let that go. All of us do. That's the elephant in the room. There's no such thing as purity going forward. You could find it today. 3, 4, 500 years from now, such a thing may not even exist. Your race may not exist. It's just gonna be a combination of a couple of races. All over the place. It's over for that. We got to figure out how to live going forward so that those kids, so that those generations going forward, they're not in a worse world because of us. Like we are because of our grandparents and ancestors. And the sins and the hate that they harbored in building the world that we live in. That's the truth. Because all this evil that we're doing, all these things that we're doing that aren't productive, they're going to have the consequences for them. And those consequences will not be good. I hope you've given some thought to what I've said here, everybody. My name is BDF44. I'm out.